Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Adeo Ressi. I'm CEO of VC Lab, and we're here today to talk about the Venture Institute. Let me just walk through my background for 1 second, and we'll jump on screen to the presentation. So I've been in the entrepreneurship and venture capital industry for in excess of 27 years. And about half of that time I spent building tech startups, and I was fortunate to have created 2 separate billion-dollar companies by the time I was 30. And then the other half of that time, I've been really working on the ecosystem overall. So for those of you who are more in the know, I've created something called the Safe Note. I launched something called the Founder Institute, which is a training program for entrepreneurs in about 300 cities, and done many other things to help the overall entrepreneurial and venture capital ecosystems worldwide, including the launch of VC Lab, which is the leading and free training program for venture capitalists looking to launch firms. And I'll tell you more about VC Lab in a moment. And that was the inspiration for Venture Institute. So let's get started with the presentation. I'm going to take you through a little bit about why the Venture Institute is special, what it's going to do, etc. And then we'll open it up, as I said, for your questions. So, the first thing is the Venture Institute is 100% free venture capital training. And that's because there's lots of programs by universities, Harvard, Columbia, etc., by organizations like the Kaufman Fellows and 500 Startups, or Kaufman organization, which has Kaufman Fellows, and 500 Startups has VC Unlock. And these programs cost a lot of money. Honestly, they are quite expensive. In some cases, tens of thousands of dollars a year. Right. And we said, wait a minute, we have a talent shortage in the venture capital industry, right? Because we're launching hundreds of funds and they need associates, et cetera, venture partners and the like. And there's just not enough people in the world that understand venture capital correctly. And if they have to go through a program that costs tens of thousands of dollars, we're not going to fix this issue. So we launched a free training program for venture capital. And what is venture capital? Let's just start there. So some of you, most of you understand what it is, but I'll just give you a simple definition. It's the intersection between innovation, right? Entrepreneurs or founders, and money, right? And that's what venture capital is. And it brings the money to the table, but it really, the venture capitalists and the venture capital industry sits in that intersection between innovative ideas, the founders that make those ideas possible, and the capital that allows those ideas to get off the ground and scale. And the reality is it leads to really cool things. I just got back from Paris. My daughter is interning at a company that is building space hardware that you can see here to grow plants on the moon, to grow plants on Mars, so that we can live in space. We can live on different planets, and it's a venture-funded business, right? And in fact, there's a lot of maybe not great things that have been funded by venture capital, but there's a lot of great things that have been funded by venture capital as well. And the interesting things is that VCs get to choose to some extent what the future looks like, because when they choose to finance a business, they're giving that business an unfair advantage to become a major part of human society, whether that be some of the stalwarts of the early venture capital days, like Apple, to some of the more recent ones like Slack, et cetera. The funding by venture capital has allowed those businesses to become what they are today, and household names in many cases, et cetera. All right. And so why are we doing this? What's our mission? And so we believe that we can turn venture capital into a force for good in the world. We've created something called the Mensarius Oath, and every venture capitalist that we work with in the accelerator and in other programs that VC Lab is doing have to agree to the Mensarius Oath. And the Mensarius Oath is pretty black and white. I'll just give you some, this isn't the entire oath. You can check it out yourself, but it's pretty clear. I endeavor to help create positive outcomes for all of humanity, right? I work against the abuse of power. I commit to reducing inequality. I pledge to treat people fairly. I'm open and honest in all my dealings, and I keep matters that are understood to be private as confidential. I mean, that's just some of the different values of the Mensarius Oath. They may seem kind of obvious to people here. Hopefully they do. But yeah, so our goal, our belief is that if we can get the money coming into entrepreneurship and into innovative ideas that are going to change the world, and we can make sure that money is directed to things that are going to make the world better, then that's one of the best ways that we can make the world better. And so our goal with this particular program is to get you a career in venture capital, okay? Working with the top managers worldwide, launching and building positive, focused funds, okay? And right now, I can tell you we've launched a lot of firms around the world, and they are doing fabulously, making the world a better place, and they're run by exited entrepreneurs, successful angels, famous people, top executives, ecosystem leaders, and former venture capitalists, right? So and we're going to help you get roles within these firms, and if you want, within other firms as well. So whatever suits you. Our goal for this program is to find you a role in the community that you're excited about. And so who are we targeting, right? Who are these people we want to get a role for? Well, we're looking for people that are interested in becoming associates, so more of an entry-level position. And so you'll start your venture capital career with a deep knowledge. Most associates, they learn on the job over years. We're going to give you a consolidated boost of learning so you can enter the industry ahead of anyone else that's looking to become an associate. We're also looking to help venture partners. There are tons of experienced people that have some sense of how venture capital works, and they want to get more involved, maybe not full-time, which venture partners are generally part-time. So a venture partner keeps their job at Microsoft, wherever, and they do some work with venture capitalists on the side because they're an expert or domain expert or knowledgeable person on a subject matter. And what we're going to do is we're going to level up your knowledge on how venture capital works so you could be more of a contributor to the firm's success. And venture partners normally earn carry, which is upside in the fund, whereas associates normally just get, a salary, traditional compensation. And last but not least, partners. There's a lot of partners that know a lot about venture capital, or a lot of new partners that know a lot about venture capital, but they don't know everything. So we're going to give a really good overview of everything, right? And you're going to get hands-on experience as well. So how are we going to do this, or what is the Venture Institute program? Well, we're going to do 2 months of training and then 2 months of residency, essentially where you're going to be working with venture capitalists on specific things that they need in the residency. The residency is optional. Actually, it's all optional, of course. You don't have to apply. You don't have to enroll, but you can get a certificate by completing the training. And then if you want, you can do the residency. I'll talk about how that works in a minute. And so the training includes a weekly curriculum, and you'll have stuff to do, about 10 to 15 hours worth of work to do a week. And you're going to learn everything. There's going to be a weekly AMA where you can ask any questions about the anything in venture as well as the subject matter. But we're also going to have a session with a subject matter expert that's relevant to the topic of the curriculum. So, and you're going to have this opportunity again for general AMA and then a specialized AMA every single week. And in addition to, now, one of the things we'll also do some office hours. So with that subject matter expert, so that if you want to dive a little bit deeper or you want to understand it more, let's say you're really interested in modeling. So there'll be a general and AMA, a modeling AMA in the modeling week, and then you can do office hours with the modeling expert to go deeper, answer more questions, understand a little bit more insights on how thing works. Now, in addition to that, you'll have access to one of the top venture capital platforms in the world today. It's the most used one. It's called Decile Hub. This will allow you to do deal memos and all these things as you learn in an actual system for deal memos, etc. You'll have working groups with peers, roughly 5 to 10 peers, and you'll have the ability to meet with them and work on some of the projects each week or at whatever schedule you're comfortable with. And then you'll be given real world activities. So everything we're going to do is going to be real with you. You're going to learn for sure. There's a lot of learning, but we're going to have applied learning, because then you're going to take the learning and write a deal memo, or you're going to take the learning and work on a model. And so it's again going to be in that 10 to 15 hour a week range, but it's not going to be all just reading and like learning. You're also going to have real world activities to apply all that knowledge to as you're growing your knowledge base. When is it going? So it's going to run from roughly the week of July 17th to the week of September 18th. You can see the schedule here. So you see 7/17, that's the Monday. There'll be the first sprint. Then there'll be a break on 7/24 because it's a darker purple. And then on 7/31, sprint 2, 8/7, sprint 3. Then there's another break on the end of the summer at 8/21. And then we were going to resume towards the end of August and into September and really get you done by the mid-September range with the training component. Okay. It's been kind of crazy. We've had 500 applicants in roughly one weekend. Right now, we have 162 people who are watching this concurrently. And so it's been a much bigger success story than we anticipated. So if you see that early deadline on the week of 6/19, and the final deadline in yellow on the week of 7/10, we're probably going to end admissions early, because this is a program that we want to try and accept almost everybody, and we have like 500 people already. So not everybody, we're good. There is an admission process, and we haven't worked out exactly how it all works out. We're getting your applications, and we figured maybe we could accept 100%, but at 500, we probably can't. So we're going to end admissions early and figure out who we can let in, because if you get your application in, we really want to try and accept you. But again, the volume has been insane. So here's what I would say. If you haven't applied yet, get your application in, because we're probably going to close it way early, as soon as next week. And just try and accept everyone that has gotten an application in within reason, because it's already really high. Okay, so how does the Venture Institute end up helping you? So you sign up, you learn this stuff. How does it actually help you? Well, if you finish the weekly sprints, and there's a learning management system, and you cannot do the sprints, right? That's up to you. Right? We're not going to put a lot of pressure on you. But if you do finish the sprints, you're going to get a certificate that you finished the Venture Institute. And we're going to be working with all sorts of firms around the world. We already have, hundreds. And we're going to just say like, hey, this person is certified to work in your firm. And so that's going to give you a hiring leg up. Again, if you're an associate or a venture partner or even a partner, to be able to say that you've finished a program and you've got this certificate, and we will validate with anyone that you're interviewing with, that's a big deal. If you finish the sprints, you get the certificate and you've done well, right? And we're going to review, we will review your work and check it. Then you can get a residency. That's that 2 months after the 2 months of training. So that's not going to be available to everyone. You have to have finished the sprints, and the sprints have to be reasonable quality, right? If you're kind of half not doing that great on the sprints, but you're getting them done, we're not going to give you a resident, because we're going to match you with a top VC to start actually real world help that will eventually lead to a role, hopefully, right? So if you've done the sprints well, you get the residency. And if you do the residency well, we're going to help you get a job offer. Okay. So it's that's the plan, right? Pretty black and white. And everyone here that does that, gets the certificate, will also be certified with this platform called Decile Hub, which is right now, it runs about 450 firms, making it the largest platform to run venture capital firms in the world, larger than the number of platforms, that, let's say, AngelList or Carta or whatever, they're actually running firms day to day. It's number one. And you will also be certified as a hub user. So that means that's just an added benefit, because there's all these funds using it now that are like, oh, someone is expert in it, I'm definitely going to bring them in. So it will only help you to get a role, which again is our goal. So very quickly on what VC Lab is, and again, why we're doing this. We're the leading venture capital accelerator. And this is a snapshot as of April 2023 of just some of our metrics at VC Lab. We've created 325 firms, and we're in cohort 10 is getting ready to graduate. So that's going to bump up around 400. And cohort 11 of VC Lab just enrolled. So it's a really exciting time. We may end up this year creating over half of all the new venture capital firms worldwide. Last year, we did about half of the venture capital firms worldwide, a little bit less, but around 50%. This year, we should do more than 50% of all new manager firms launched worldwide. So the VC Lab's doing great. And, if you want to be part of a network that has the top venture capital firms in it, this is the one to be part of. So you definitely want to do the Venture Institute. Now, with that said, I've covered all the stuff in about 25 minutes. I really wanted this to be an opportunity to answer your questions. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Maybe Niels, you could pop on and sort the Q&A questions by top voted. And let's start asking and answering them. And so just a reminder for anyone that might have come in a little bit late, if you have a question about the Venture Institute, if you have a question about venture capital, there's a Q&A button at the bottom. Put your question in there, then upvote it by, if you see one question that you like, by clicking the thumbs up. Right now, I see we got about 12 or so questions. So what normally happens, everyone, is as we move on in time, the number of questions goes way up. So don't be shy. Put the questions in now, read the other questions, and upvote. Niels, let's get started.
Yeah, so Karen is asking if I were accepted in cohort 11, but after this I may realize that the Venture Institute is better for us. Can they switch?
Absolutely. Do it now. So you can write into, I want to clarify what the two are just to be absolutely clear for everybody here. But if you are in cohort 11 or even cohort 10 or whatever, and you want to switch, just reply to any email that you've received and say, hey, I think I'm a better fit for the Venture Institute, and we will move you over right away. Both programs are free, but let me outline the differences between VC Lab and the Venture Institute. So VC Lab, you finish the program and you will close a fund. In fact, you are not an alumni of the program until you close a fund. So it is for managers, new and emerging managers that are looking to close a venture capital fund and firm. And so we are seeing in VC Lab, the average time from enrollment or idea to closing is about 5.7 months. And to give you a sense, closing in the real world normally takes 18 to 24 months. So we are 3 or 4 times faster than or more faster than closing in the real world. But VC Lab is a program to help you launch and close a venture capital firm and fund. Okay. The Venture Institute is a training program for people who want to learn about the venture capital industry and get a role in the venture capital industry. Now, that role could be an entry-level role, as we discussed, such as an associate, or it could be a senior role, such as a partner, and everything in between. But it is a training program, not a closing program. All right, Niels, let's keep rolling.
Okay, another question about VC Institute and cohort 11. Someone's asking, is it possible or rather feasible to do both at the same time?
Yes, yes, definitely. In fact, we admittedly don't do, there's some learning in VC Lab. Okay, it's not zero learning, but it's like learn by doing, right? Conversely, the Venture Institute is mostly learning and also some doing, right? So it will be like, okay, here's what a deal memo is. Here's how to think about a deal memo. Here's how to do a deal memo. Oh, and now work on a deal memo. In VC Lab, it's just like, do the deal memo, right? Figure it out on your own. So it's that you may get to the same place, but so I think you can do them both at the same time. Now, I am not sure that the system supports that off the top of my head to be enrolled in 2 things at once. It does, but it's a little kludgy. So if you want to do them both at the same time, my recommendation is enroll in VC Lab and then write in and say, I also want to do Venture Institute, and we will figure out the system for you.
Maybe use a different email for the other program.
No, you can use both the same email. Okay. There's a drop down, Niels, in the top. It's a little
okay.
Not the best from a UI perspective, but so apply to the more comprehensive program, which would be VC Lab, and then write in and say you want to do the Venture Institute, and we'll figure it out for you. Okay. Someone's asking a pretty obvious question. Is there a good question? Is there a link to the application? Yes. Niels, I'll paste it into the chat in 1 second. But if you go to govclab.com, there's start a career in venture capital right on the homepage. And then you that will take you to the information. And then a little bit down from there, there is a thing that says apply to the Venture Institute. But the link to do it, I'm putting into the chat. Oh, you got to make me host so I can post everyone. Oh, Here's the, well, that's the link to the, if you make me a host, Niels. All right, let's keep rolling with questions. Then I can post the actual direct link. Okay, thank you, Niels. Here we go. And here the application link is coming in the chat from me.
Thank you, Adeo. Maria is asking, what kind of background or seniority do I need for the program?
You need nothing, right? You could be a college student to even a seasoned venture capitalist, because let's say you're a seasoned venture capitalist, you may not know how fundraising works from LPs and capital call works, or you may not have done the model for the venture capital firm. So you'll learn things that even seasoned VCs don't know, because a lot of times seasoned VCs, let's say, focus on deal flow, but don't focus on running the firm. We're going to give you like the whole overview on how venture capital works, but you don't need any knowledge coming in. Now, let's say you like modeling, right? Well, there'll be modeling exercises. So we expect that there'll be deal exercises and modeling and all this stuff, and you'll gravitate to certain things that you're better at, but we're going to give you the whole overview and you don't need to know anything specific coming in. It will be in English, so you do need some proficiency in English. Is the residency done remotely? I love that question. Yes. So what if you finish the sprints and you've done a good job on the sprints, we will match you with venture firms, but the venture firms will not necessarily be local. So let's say you're really good at something, modeling, and there's a venture firm that would love someone to work on modeling, but they're in a different region, then of course we can match you to. Now, another thing may happen where you're really interested in deals, you're in London, and there's a London firm that needs some help with deals, we're going to match you. So there's some will be local, but assume that the residency will be virtual.
So Mita is asking something similar to what we've already covered. Does this program?
So we can archive it. Yeah, let's just do new questions.
New question. Is there, Maria is saying, I've seen a new trend of VCs that don't come from a finance background, working on platform roles, portfolio support, and so on. Does this program help with this kind of roles?
Yeah, any kind of role. So look, there are more engineers working at Sequoia Capital than there are partners, okay, just as an example. So lots of people from different backgrounds are entering the venture capital world today. And they're getting roles as engineers at firms. They're getting roles as in marketing at firms, et cetera, et cetera. This program will teach you how venture capital works and give you a practical guide and activities to learn how venture capital works. So whatever role you're interested in venture capital, it will be useful for you, including if you're doing the VC Lab program and you really want a primer on how all of venture capital works before you start your own firm. It will help you there as well.
Rafaela is wondering, what's in it for us? What is our business model?
Look, so that's a very good question. So what we've done at this is not a Founder Institute program. This is a separate company from the Founder Institute called VC Lab. Now, VC Lab was started in the Founder Institute and spun out as an independent entity. So we're sister companies. Founder Institute owns a bit of VC Lab, but it is a separate business. And VC Lab's business model is to change the world for the better. And the way that we do that by turning venture capital into a force for good in the world. And the way that we do that is we help launch firms that have an ethical focus. All the stuff we do is free. We do a free training program for VCs. We provide the leading free back office platform called Hub. and we provide free training for the workers and team members and other people that are coming into venture capital. Now, with that said, we do charge for some things that are not training and industry related. So if a firm is setting up their fund and their entities and running the back office of the fund and the entities, we charge for that. And that's how VC Lab, the overall business, makes money. But the things that we offer to the public, and you have to apply to get that, and we only work with the very best there. But the stuff that we offer to the public is all free, right? Because we want to fix the world. And ironically, by giving a lot of stuff away for free that's worth a ton of money, it turns out that the stuff we charge for is super popular, and we have a waiting list of people to work with, literally. So the business is doing great by just helping people as much as we can and doing things for free. Oh, someone's saying, hey, I signed up, but it's saying we'll hear within 72 hours. Niels, can you take a note on that? That might just be an email error. My apologies. We're going to start accepting its admissions next week. So that 72 hours thing is an error. We're using the Founder Institute systems to run the program because we're sister companies, and there's some stock emails in the Founder Institute system that are right for the Founder Institute, but not right for the Venture Institute. So we're going to fix them. My apologies. Admissions will start next week, and we're going to try to, and probably close next week as well, because we've had too many people apply. So you'll hear if you apply next week, and we'll likely close again admissions next week.
Mark is wondering, does being a part of the Venture Institute improve one's chances of getting into our accelerator program?
Absolutely. And so another reason we started the Venture Institute is people were not able to get in VC Lab, but we like them. We thought they were talented. And it's just maybe their knowledge wasn't that great. Maybe they hadn't done any investing before. Maybe their application was that great because they didn't understand how venture capital worked. So we were like, oh, in some ways, this is also a pre-program for VC Lab 12, cohort 12, which starts in August. Now, interestingly enough, about midway through Venture Institute, we'll start VC Lab cohort 12. And we're going to be scouting people in the Venture Institute and saying, this person's pretty impressive. They probably could launch their own fund. And so we're going to reach out to you if we think you're good, and you'll be instantly accepted into VC Lab if we think you're good. So yes, if you're going through the Venture Institute and you have the chops to be a venture capitalist, we'll contact you and invite you to join the VC Lab cohort 12 program.
Nick is asking 3 questions in one. We're only going to cover the first question, please.
Yeah, guys, everyone, I think I said this in the intro. Sorry, Nick, for that. Try and ask one question at a time. And do me a favor, we got lots of questions in there. Great. Check the question list first and use that thumbs up to answer or to if there's a question you want answered.
So how do we use the assessment data we get during the application?
We're probably not, candidly. We just don't know yet what correlates a good person. So it's going to be used for to correlate in the future, but we're not actually making investment decisions or admissions decisions, excuse me, with it right now, because we just don't know how it correlates yet. So this will be a program where we correlate, hey, what attributes does a successful entrant into venture have? And so in the future, we'll use it, but right now, no. Yes, this will be recorded and you can get a copy, Ben.
Exactly. We have a sort of generational thing going on here. Tara Eichenberger is saying her dad's in cohort 11 and is asking, when I finish this program, can I do my residency with him?
Yeah, Tara, absolutely. You know, I'd love it if my children, my daughter was in the slide. She's in Paris right now building space hardware. But I would love it if she took Venture Institute and did a residency with VC Lab. In fact, so the answer is yes. You can go through the training program and do a residency with a particular firm. If there's a firm, so I don't know if I can get you a residency at Andreessen Horowitz, but we have hundreds of firms where we can get you a residency at, and especially if your dad's going through the program, that's easy. One of the firms where you can get a residency at is VC Lab itself, okay? We're definitely gonna look to hire from this program, all right? I expect to hire people, I hope to hire people from this program. I hope our funds can hire people from this program. You know, I would love if everyone got a job that finished the program and, you know, did a residency. I'd love to see 100% success rate.
Ritvik would want to do some studying before the program starts and is asking, is there a single piece of reading, book, essay, or post you would recommend before it starts?
Yeah, and guys, remember, use the thumbs up so we get those top questions in. Look, the best thing to read right now to understand venture capital is the govclab.com insights section or blog. If you could put a link to it, Neil, as well, I just talk a little bit. And why do I say this? Because there's not, the books that are written are like, and I have a bunch of them on my wall. I could probably pull one down here. Let me get my glasses, but and they're not bad, but they're like historical in nature. Like, for example, this was written by a friend of mine, Creative Capital, right here by Spencer Ante. And, you know, this is about the history of venture capital. So it's hard. History doesn't necessarily change. I mean, there's always new history being added, but yeah, so it's a historical book. The problem is with the modern books like Venture Deals by Brad Feld, the second it's published, it's out of date, right? Because, and they've done a good job of updating Venture Deals as a book, but for the most part, the second something's written, it's out of date. So the best things you can find are written on the internet. And then the problem is a lot of the people who are practitioners of VCs don't really talk about the industry. So one of the only places that has particularly good, modern, up-to-date stuff is our insights section or blog. So that's where I would recommend going. Let's keep rolling. Yes.
So Joseph is asking if we're in cohort 11, but also want to attend the Venture Institute. Which email do we write to request?
Just
that?
write back to, you know, probably programs@vclab-team.com, but you could also write back to really anything you get. We have very good email support. Niels helps out with it. I help out with it. We try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours. So any email will work.
Jesse is wondering, how do we judge participants for the residencies?
Yeah, good question. So look, there's a learning management system. So you're going to have each week, the curriculum will be loaded in the learning management system, and you fill out responses to the activities. And the activities, well, as I said, will take between reading and doing them about 10 to 15 hours a week. These are, again, more learning activities, but there's plenty of practical, real world things that you'll be working on. Okay. And we're checking the work. If you do a good job on the work, which is like, it's like, if you put like done versus like you put the work that you actually did. So if you write the word done versus showing the work you did, If you write the word done, that's kind of lame. If you show the work you did and the work is good, that's something we'll acknowledge. And so we're going to be reviewing your work. And if the work is good, you're going to get a residency. And if the work is kind of half-assed, you won't. Because here's the problem, right? We're not trying to judge you. Maybe if maybe you were taking the work seriously, but you just didn't write a lot of stuff in there. If we want to give you a residency with one of these funds that are changing the world for the better and some of the best funds in the world, we got to pick people who are taking the opportunity seriously.
We have another person who's already in one of the current cohorts as a member of a larger team, and they're wondering, is it possible for me to sign up individually and not affect the rest of the team, basically, as far as I understand?
If you're enrolled in the program already, right, you got to write in and we got to figure out if you can do both at the same time, just with the UI of the system. I think you can, but we just write in and we'll check it. If there's a team that you're on and you're not, let's say, the VC Lab does not allow venture partners, principals, and associates into that program. It's a partner only program. But if you're on the team as a venture partner, associate, principal, whatever, you can definitely enroll in Venture Institute to learn the ins and outs of venture capital and possibly put yourself as on a partner track in the firm, because you'll know a lot more about venture capital than most people.
Someone is also enrolled in cohort 11 and has a focus on venture studios.
He's been accepted, yeah. So the Smart Edge team, I want to start a venture studio. I've been accepted into VC. Does this program seem like a better choice? Like, if you want to start a venture studio, you should be in the VC Lab cohort 11. Venture Institute is a learning program, not a starting program.
Robert is wondering, would it be useful for you to receive introductions to local VCs to be able to offer residency, or is it mostly intended as a funnel for VC Lab funds?
It's not, the residency, it's going to be easier for us to place you in the residency with VC Lab funds because we know the VC Lab funds and we know you, right? So you'll have finished the program, we'll see your work, we'll know where you're strong, how good you are. We also know the VC Lab funds. So that's going to be our focus of placement in the residency. Because again, let's say you're interested in modeling, as I brought the analogy up before, and we'll know a VC Lab fund that is looking for modeling help will place the person who's interested and good at modeling with the firm that needs modeling and do that matching. So we're going to do deeper matching because we know you and we know the firms. And we just can't do that with firms we don't know. So that does not, you don't have to get a job with our firms. You can get a job with any firm. Just for the residency, I think the matching that way will just get better results.
Mr. Key is asking for the sign-up link. I will put it in the chat again right now.
Yeah, and then for those of us who want to start our own fund instead of working for someone, you should apply to VC Lab cohort 12. Because Venture Institute, you can also start a fund by doing it. But VC Lab cohort 12 is where you go to start a fund, and we're gonna and you will start a fund. In fact, the average time to getting the fund off the ground, as I mentioned earlier, is 5.7 months and declining.
Anna is asking, what is the difference between us and the Kaufman Fellows program?
Well, first, this is free. So if you want to spend so technically, I have nothing against Kaufman Fellows, okay? But it is very expensive, okay? So the way it works is usually the participant of Kaufman Fellows doesn't pay, but it's tens of thousands a year. When I paid for someone to go through it, I think it was like 50,000 or 70,000 a year. I forget. It was a little while. It was a while ago though. And So you get how Kaufman Fellows works. I don't know if they've made some changes to it, but you go to like a VC and get a job, and then they're like, I want to train you, so I'm going to put you through Kaufman Fellows, and it's about it's 2 years, it's tens of thousands of dollars a year, and so our goal is to do what Kaufman Fellows does over 2 years in 2 months with an extra 2 months. So we're going to get you to that level of knowledge in about 4 months. And we're going to get you a job versus needing a job, and it's free. So I would say Kaufman Fellows is in a lot of trouble. All these programs that are charging, like all these, Harvard, come to Harvard and learn about venture capital for only $25,000 for 2 weeks. Like, that's going to fail, because now it's free and you're going to learn and you're going to actually, and like, come to Venture Unlock for only $20,000. You can come to Silicon Valley and learn about venture capital. Okay, that's free. So we're going to be like, great, you guys are like ripping people off to give some knowledge on venture capital for God knows what. We're gonna make it free, and hopefully they stop gouging people, and we fix this problem. Because you should, look, there's nothing on the internet about venture capital right now. You're not going to learn by searching, okay? Unfortunately, that's why our insights is the best, because we're publishing all this stuff. Now, as part of this program, we're going to publish reference material. We're going to start that publishing process very soon. So now at least you'll be able to learn on the internet how to do it. And then we're providing a structured program behind it. And again, we're doing it all for free. So we're really looking to disrupt what we think has been a kind of, and then this is because we want to lower the barriers for smart and talented people to enter the venture capital industry and change it for the better, because it's largely dominated today by older white men, and that's just wrong, and that's not the future I want to be part of, where old white men decide what we have technology wise. I want to be part of a future where everyone decides what the next technologies are, regardless of gender and regardless of age, right? So let's make this inclusive. All right, let's keep rolling.
This question ties into that in terms of inclusivity. What are the chances of getting accepted in the program?
I'd like it to be 100%, but as I mentioned, we have so many applicants, it's not going to be 100%. I can't answer that question. I will say this, we're going to try and keep it as close to 100% as possible, because we want everyone to have a shot at learning. And so we're going to close admissions early to make that vision reality. Otherwise, because I fear like if it continues, we'd have thousands and thousands of applicants. We just can't accept we can't run a program that's quality program matching you with funds and everything with thousands of people in it. Not yet, at least. So we're going to probably start with well, let's do some math. I think we could run a pretty good program like this for 200 people. Now, most of those 200 people will not finish it. In our experience, I've run thousands of programs around the world. You get busy, you don't care, but things happen, right? But let's say 50 of the 200 finish it. We'd have to potentially, if they're all good, we'd have to get all 50 of them residencies and ideally a job, right? So, or a role. So, that's sort of what, and we have 500 applicants right now. So I would say we're going to try and accept as many of the 500 or whatever number it is and help them get a job. And so, but if we're probably going to have to close admissions, as I said, soon, so that we can honor that statement.
What is the best outcome you can think of as a result of joining the program?
I don't know, there are 3 different levels of people: associate, venture partner, and partner. So if you start at the base level associate, I would love to see someone come out of the program and get a job at a top venture capital firm, because the merits of the program put them in a fantastic place to understand the insights or ins and outs of the industry enough that they get a leg up when applying. And then from there, they can rise to the level of principal fairly quickly because they know how things work. Let's say if you're, as I said, if you're starting as an associate, and then from there, they can break out and start their own firm because they have a real understanding, again, of not just how modeling works or not just on how deals work, but they understand how LPs work, how to pitch LPs, all this stuff. And so they'll be, in a pole position to win that associate, in a pole position for the promotion to principal, and then in a pole position to break out and start their own firm. And maybe they do that in a record amount of time, in a few years, versus sometimes decades that it takes in traditional venture today.
Charles wonders whether the program is a good fit for people who are just interested in learning as opposed to changing their job.
Great question, Charles. Guys, get your questions in, upvote them. We got to end in 4 minutes. So really, more than adding questions now, please do me a favor and upvote. Yeah, this is a learning program, Charles. So if you don't want to do the residency, that's fine. We're more than happy to accept you and learn, and then not do the residency. The residency is optional, everybody. And obviously jobs are optional, right? So it's not like you have to get a job in venture. The point is to train people how venture works. If you finish the training by actually doing the work, you get the certificate, and everything else is optional. Yeah, so there's a question from Evelyn. If you apply but are not chosen for the current cohort, does your application roll over? Absolutely, Evelyn, because we're going to try and train as many people as possible. So not only will your application roll over, but we'll try, maybe what we can do is try and accept you first for the next cohort. Tony's saying, I didn't get a response for VC Lab cohort 11. You probably did, Tony. It probably went to spam, sadly. At this point, admissions are closed, so you were probably just didn't make it. We were full. We do have 33 people accepted, however, that haven't replied yet. Niels is going to be following up with them today to try and get that, to haven't enrolled yet, that Niels is going to follow up with them today. But yeah, so it's probably went to spam. We definitely sent everyone a message. In fact, maybe Niels could look it up and
Yep.
send you something.
I will.
Will I be able to do a Venture Institute with residency, then VC Lab cohort 12? So the way it works is VC Lab cohort 12 starts around the sort of middle of Venture Institute. And for people who are doing well in the Venture Institute, we will, and that are appropriate, we will invite them as accepted to join cohort 12. So you should be able to finish the Venture Institute, but you'll not be able to do the residency because cohort 12 will be too intensive. Yeah, so outreach at VC Lab. Yeah, we did an email upgrade. Some emails are bouncing back. So if you're talking about my apologies, we rebranded as Decile Group. So when we did that, Google got funky. So some emails may bounce back. They should be working now, though. If they are not working, you can email. You'll probably have emails from a couple different email addresses. If one does not work, reply to another, and we'll fix the one that does not work. It was because we upgraded to Decile Group, which went mostly smoothly, but not perfect.
Last question, I think. Once more, Adeo, if you could quickly summarize what the main differences are between cohort 11 and Venture Institute.
Yeah, so the venture, just so wrapping up, and I'll put some closing words, and we got to go because the Zoom line needs to be used. So Venture Institute, training, VC Lab, launching a fund. So they're not mutually exclusive. You can do the Venture Institute and the VC Lab program at the same time. However, I recommend that you apply for the VC Lab program. We're doing this to make the world the better place, guys. As I was mentioning, we want more people in the venture capital industry working to make it a better industry, passionate about innovation. And that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to just create a revolution in venture capital that funds things that matter, because we're not going to get renewable energy. We're not going to fix the environment. We're not going to get sustainable food. We're not going to get sustainable fashion unless venture capital starts funding things that matter. And it hasn't been doing that to date. So we're just going to fix it. And once these things get funding, then things will start to change for the better. So thanks, everybody. Please get your application in. We're probably going to close admissions early, and wonderful to talk with everyone, and hope to be working with you soon. Bye, guys.